Hi guys, how are you today? Welcome back to my channel Adventures in America. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jocelyn, and today we are going to talk about the updated travel restrictions in the Philippines, and also there are some talks regarding the quarantine protocols for fully vaccinated, and these are the passengers who were vaccinated outside the Philippines, and there's now currently a new protocol for those vaccinated within the Philippines, and there are some press releases from the Bureau of Immigration. We are also going to talk about the entry ban and the latest task force resolution from the Interagency Task Force on the Management of Infectious Diseases. Just a little bit of a good news, the Department of Health has officially announced that the use of face shield outside, or if you are walking alone, or if you are working outside, you are now not required, or you can remove your face shield while outside. So this is a really welcome development for those who are struggling to keep their face shields and face masks together. I just don't understand why the face shield has been implemented in the Philippines for so long, and it's now becoming a big business. And sometimes when you wear a face mask, because here in the US we only need to wear a mask, but now the mask mandate has been lifted for fully vaccinated individuals. It's not really reasonable to use together the face mask and the face shield. It's becoming a huge business in the Philippines. More people are saying that Philippines is the only country in the world requiring face shields and face masks for its citizens. Now, if you're asking if the Philippines is open for tourism, the answer is no. Foreign tourists, those who do not have an immediate family member in the Philippines, such as a wife or a child, or those who don't have a valid and existing visa. And these valid and existing visas are governed by different rules, so they are very specific. So those foreign tourists who have no business going to the Philippines, like no family or relatives, and they're just visiting for tourism, you are not yet allowed in the Philippines, even if you are fully vaccinated. Other eligible passengers as of this time to the Philippines are first Filipinos, because Filipinos have the right to travel, and whether they are overseas Filipino workers or non-overseas Filipino workers, if you have a valid Philippine passport, then you can travel to the Philippines. Also, dual citizens can travel to the Philippines, and also former Filipinos can travel. Also, there are certain foreign nationals allowed to travel in the Philippines as long as they have a valid and existing visa. And these valid and existing visas are governed by different rules. So there are actually different categories for these foreign nationals. So based on the latest update of the Bureau of Immigration, holders of SRRV visa can now enter the Philippines, and they do not have to need an entry exemption document. However, those who have a 9A visa, these are specifically for those foreign spouse and sometimes foreign parent. This foreign parent or foreign spouse who have a child in the Philippines or a wife in the Philippines, you need an entry exemption document to enter aside from the entry visa. So this is still the rule up to this time. Now, the Philippines has implemented a different quarantine protocol for those who are vaccinated in the Philippines and those vaccinated outside the Philippines. I'm not sure what's the distinction, whether your vaccine is acceptable in the Philippines or not, but the Philippines made this travel restriction. Now, for those who are vaccinated in the Philippines, there is now a new protocol governing your travel. So let me go ahead and go over this latest resolution from the Interagency Task Force. So we are now on resolution number 120. There's actually more bureaucracy, more burdensome, and I'm just gonna go ahead and share with you what this travel restriction is. So just to give you a backdrop, there was a resolution number 119 issued on June 3rd, and it was stated that fully vaccinated passengers in the Philippines, and those fully vaccinated passengers are those who received the first dose if only one dose is required like 2 weeks after the first dose, or 2 weeks after the second and last dose, then you can be considered fully vaccinated. The rules are still the same in this new resolution number 120. So if you are fully vaccinated and the vaccine must be authorized or approved by the Philippine Food and Drug Administration Emergency Use Authorization or from the Compassionate Special Permit, then you can be considered for quarantine for 7 days only, and there will be no test or RT-PCR test if you have no symptoms. Now, the rule is the same on resolution number 120, except that there is an added requirement. I'm going to go ahead and read the requirement to you. Now, here are the changes effective June 16, and these are for fully vaccinated individuals in the Philippines. A fully vaccinated individual must carry his or her vaccination card, which must be verified prior to his or her departure from the country of origin prior to boarding, and a certification issued prior to his or her departure by the Department of Information and Communications Technology or the city health officer of the local government unit which administered the last dose necessary for full vaccination. This certification must be presented to the dedicated Bureau of Quarantine representative for verification at the Department of Transportation one-stop shop upon arrival in the Philippines. Well, it looks like there's more bureaucracy with this new implementation of quarantine requirements for fully vaccinated in the Philippines. Now, this requirement is uniform for all ports of entry in the Philippines, such as Manila, Cebu, Clark, and Laoag. So later on, we're gonna talk about Laoag as a port of entry. Now, it is also a requirement that you need to have a pre-booked hotel which is accredited by the Department of Health or Tourism, and this pre-booked hotel must be 7 days for fully vaccinated in the Philippines. And then for those passengers who are vaccinated outside the Philippines, you are still required to quarantine, but it is longer. It will be 14 days mandatory quarantine, and the first 10 days must be spent in a hotel accredited by the Department of Health or Tourism. Now, you need a pre-booked hotel for 10 days, and then the remaining 4 days of quarantine can be done at home. Also, for those fully vaccinated outside the Philippines, the swab test will be done on the 7th day, and then the results will be given on the 9th day, and you can only be released on the 10th day. Now, let me give you an update regarding the travel ban. The Bureau of Immigration issued a press release regarding the travel ban, and these countries are India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, United Arab Emirates, and Oman. So if you are a passenger of these countries, or you are in these countries in the last 14 days, you cannot travel in the Philippines. However, the Philippines made an exception. Those who are only in transit or merely in these countries for a layover, and you are going to the Philippines, then you may be allowed to enter. And also those who are under government's repatriation program from these countries, then you can enter the Philippines, but you will be subjected to strict quarantine protocols. So I'm just going to repeat, this entry ban is until the last day of June. So I think the government will be lifting this travel ban at the end of June, because it has been a long time and there are a lot of Filipinos who wanted to come home to the Philippines, and most of them are overseas Filipino workers, and they are actually fully vaccinated. Now, let's talk about the Cebu port of entry. Previously, Cebu has been implementing a different or better way of quarantine and health protocols for passengers. So most of the passengers previously were able to go there and just do a swab test and then go home after 3 days. But now Cebu has decided to follow the IATF's protocol of 14 days mandatory quarantine. I have a little bit of a good news for you. Will Laoag be the fourth international port of entry in the Philippines? Currently, we have Manila, Cebu, and Clark. Actually, my parents are from Ilocos Norte and I frequent Pagudpud and Laoag when I'm traveling in the Philippines, and I'm really excited if Laoag will have a direct flight from outside the Philippines. I'm looking forward for Laoag to be an additional port of entry, and they actually have a different protocols, and their swab test is actually lower among the other port of entries. So I'm excited, and I'm telling you that Laoag will be open for commercial flying starting July 20. I don't have all the details. If Laoag will be open soon, I will be more happy to provide you more updates. I hope that Philippines will open for tourism soon, and all of these ridiculous travel restrictions will be removed or lifted, such as the mandatory quarantine for fully vaccinated individuals, and for requiring entry exemption documents for foreign spouse and foreign parents. They think they need to remove these entry exemption documents. And also, will they require visa for foreign tourists? So I'm not sure if visa will be required. However, as I see right now, foreign nationals will be required a visa upon traveling or upon entering the Philippines. And I hope they remove the face shield mandate, and the travel will be better and smoother, especially for overseas Filipino workers or non-overseas Filipino workers. Also, the face shield should be removed, and I don't see any benefit in using the face shield. You can ask like everyone who's going out and wearing a face mask and the face shield, so you can ask those persons if you think personally that the face shield is helping with your own personal protection. So I hope that the Department of Health will make the right decisions regarding better health protocols for everyone. And then the community quarantine classifications are just as confusing, and it changes every 15 days. And the government's notification regarding new requirements are just ridiculous. Do you think there's still hope in the Philippines regarding these health protocols? Let me know in the comment section below. So thank you guys for watching, and if you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you recently traveled in the Philippines, please share your travel experience. And if you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.